What's up everyone, it's Russo. I hope everyone is doing well. I appreciate all the new subscribers. I hope you guys are enjoying the cut cycle, and I'm really having a lot of fun falling back in love with editing, making those vlogs. So I appreciate everyone who's subscribed and has been supporting the vlogs. Seriously, you guys are awesome. Today I'm going to be giving my honest opinion on the Enhanced documentary by Generation Iron. And I'll just get my bias out of the way right now. I definitely highly encourage you guys to give this documentary a gander. I know a lot of you guys are gonna probably comment like, can I rent the documentary? Like, I'm only gonna watch it once, maybe twice. Like, why do I have to buy it? Is there an option to rent it? I don't work for Generation Iron. I really don't know much about any of the back end involving this, other than what Tony told me and just watching the film. So I would definitely contact them, ask them when the renting is going to be available, or if they're going to try and pitch this to Netflix. I have no idea what their plans are. But overall, definitely worth a view, 100%, just to support the freedom of information and the honesty in the documentary. My hat's off to Vlad for putting his name behind this documentary and shooting this documentary. Because it is very in your face, very raw, very upfront about the fitness industry in general, and that's not what everyone wants to personally see. They want to ignore it, but they don't want to see what goes on behind the scenes. They put these professional athletes, these bodybuilders, actors, Hollywood on these pedestals, and these WWEs on these pedestals, but they don't want to know what really goes on behind the scenes of some of them and the repercussions and the benefits. And I think Vlad delivered a very solid documentary on it. So I'm going to give my honest opinion. I'm going to say it how I see it. So personally, I waited around to, number one, have my initial reaction end, so I kind of have second thoughts and second reaction, because your thoughts change if you watch it a second time. So I watched it twice. Next thing I wanted to see was what the general public thought of this documentary. So Generation Iron has a big, it's not like EA where like everyone's knows about enhancement, everyone's enhanced bodybuilding. GI is much bigger, broader in the fitness industry, and they've shot films like Generation Iron and stuff. So personally, comparing it to Vlad's other films he's directed, I really like Generation Iron. I thought it was a perfect rendition of a modern day pumping iron, and I really liked the Ronnie Coleman documentary, which shows like Ronnie Coleman's current life and dealing with his injuries and just mentally the battle it took to be Mr. Olympia 8 years in a row and the legacy he built. And I thought that was a cool documentary, super honest documentary, and very humbling documentary to watch. The GOAT, greatest of all time, greatest bodybuilder of all time by far. And I thought it was a very well shot, very well paced documentary. Didn't really personally like the other two Generation Irons. I feel like they were just going for big names, trying to get as many big names in the film as possible, and then they were stuck with this footage and were just slapping it together. Didn't really like those as much as the first one. The Enhanced video kind of falls in the middle in my opinion. It's much more like the Ronnie Coleman documentary, so if you already watched that, it's kind of like that, just with Tony's life essentially, is what they were going for. Personally, what I really liked about the Generation Iron first film was Vlad's narration. It connected you with the director. You knew the direction the director was heading with the documentary, his thoughts of the journey he took to make the documentary, looking back on it as he edited it. What? Anyways, yeah, I really like that. Personally, I understand why he didn't want to make any comments or narrate any of Tony's documentary with, what was being presented in the documentary. I totally understand where he's coming from that nature, but in my opinion, I think it would have made it a lot better if he narrated and paced it himself versus it just bouncing all over the place a couple times. So overall, I would have to rate this a 7.5 out of 10, honestly. And it's not the content in it, it's just I think this documentary is too long. So I have the iTunes open up on it, and it is 1 hour and 36 minutes and 50 seconds. Personally, I think it was like an hour 5, hour 15 condensed. It would have been paced a lot smoother. So like I said, it's kind of like the Ronnie Coleman documentary where they follow the life of Ronnie Coleman, except it's with Tony. And I mean, you guys are all subscribed to me, you probably know Tony, so his life is very, very Playboy style, you know, cars, the Asia girls, all that stuff. I think they got caught up a little bit too much in that. You know, there's times where you're like, am I watching a PD documentary? Like, what am I watching here? And I get it. You know, Tony's trying to be like, this is me. Like, here I am. I'm hiding nothing. Which I feel like they got that point across. I know sex sells and stuff like that, but I felt like they should have cut a little bit of that out and focus more on the message that Tony was trying to deliver as they reel it in towards the end. But yeah, there's just that pacing part that kind of annoys me. And watching it twice, you know, it really needs to be, I think, a little bit more condensed and polished. But overall, again, the public's reaction to this is pretty, like, there's people for it, people really against it. Here's the thing. So this has been going on for decades, okay? This is the only time it's getting brought to the mainstream, to the forefront, for the public to have the freedom to have the information of what goes on. Now I can see why the extremeness, the rawness of this documentary would turn people off. But it's really the honest truth of the upper level of bodybuilding is what is in this documentary. So, I mean, you can't be like talking about these top pro Mr. Olympia athletes or some of these WWE guys or some of these actors. You can't be looking up to them and then talking shit on Tony for showing the behind the scenes of that. Overall, I personally really enjoyed the film. Again, I think it could have been a little shorter, but it's definitely worth a view. You know, it's all about the freedom of information, in my opinion. The freedom to know both the positives and the negatives. So they had Tony, who featured positives and negatives. He talked about when he almost died from steroids. Tony did. And they had Dr. Thomas O'Connor, who claims his name is the Anabolic Doc. I believe he's a YouTuber now. I really didn't like his YouTube videos, honestly, when he first got started, but I feel like he got a professional videographer because he was all over the place when he would talk. Super smart. Obviously, he's an endocrinologist. I'm not going to say he's stupid, but like just all over the place. Like now, the videographers got him exactly. Super informative videos. Definitely go check him out. Talks about all the side effects, all the repercussions, and what you can do to combat them. And he's completely upfront. He's not that doctor who scaremongers or any of that bullshit. Clear cut, this is what happens, this is the side effects, medical data, boom. You know, that's like, I like his new videos now. It's not like how he used to be. You know, I really like they featured him because, you know, he's one of the only few endocrinologists on YouTube. Since steroids are such a big issue, you think there'd be more endocrinologists wanting to spread the truth. But he's the only endocrinologist that I know that stepped up besides the doctor that Jay Cutler, the Ask the Doc, that guy too. I forget his name off the bat. Super cool doctor as well. But I really like they included him. He has a lot of information in that. And personally, I wish they went more into detail on, you know, he can't obviously give the patient's data. I just always want to know, like, what level of gear abuse are we talking when we're talking these side effects? Because Steroids, you can abuse the living shit out of them for a long time before anything bad happens. Like, I'm talking grams a year. Like, he mentions he had a client or a patient with on grams. Grams. That's insane. So I don't know if he's getting all his patients are like that. You know, I know it's all over the board and everyone's body reacts differently, which he literally says. But yeah, I wish that they went more into detail with that. They didn't really give him much of a spot. You know, they weighed him in as the professional medical advice. I wish they gave him a little bit more time in the documentary. Personally, I'd like to see, you know, more details as far as that is concerned. And then Tony, you know, they go through the life of Tony and, you know, the whole thing about Tony's lifestyle, and then they bring it down to the freedom of information. So overall, I think this documentary is definitely worth a watch. Personally, I enjoyed it, but like I said, it's super raw, super uncut, so know what you're getting into if you're gonna watch it. But you guys all watch EA's stuff anyways, and it's honestly a battle for freedom of information. So everyone who supports the documentary, you're supporting the truth, honestly. I don't understand why the truth should even be suppressed. This has been going on, like I said, for decades, and I don't think it's gonna stop anytime soon. And more people are being fooled by fake natties than ever before. And it's only gonna get worse unless the truth comes out. And, you know, Vlad, props to you for shooting this. And, you know, he made the statement very clear of it's probably the most the most neutral sided PED documentary I've ever seen. I think it was super neutral, which is really hard to say. I think Bigger, Faster, Stronger was almost like pro steroids, and then most of the other ones are very anti-steroids. So I think this one is very close down the middle, maybe slightly towards a little bit pro, just because how much time they feature Tony. Like I said, wish they took some of the prostitute shit out and gave Dr. O'Connor a little bit more of a time slot. They probably shot more stuff with him, but thought, you know, the entertainment of Tony's life would engage the viewer more. But I think everyone's trying to watch this for information, not for entertainment. So that's my opinion. Hope you guys give it a view and subscribe if you're new. I will see you in my next video.